up, everybody? Who's coming in here? Who's showing up? Who we got? Matt?
It's me.
Mello,
I was first.
John
But
Haley,
I was on here.
Paul, Joe.
It's all of our friends. How's everyone feeling?
Urku?
Joe, are you feeling okay?
Joe? Yeah, I was going to text Joe, actually. How you doing?
Yeah, man.
Cool. Looks like everything's up and running. And I guess I'll do the Facebooks as well. And then we'll get recording. Yeah, if y'all want to hit record on your recorder, we'll start going. And,
Test. 1 2 1 2.
Yes. Looks like the Facebooks are going.
Tell you what, this sickness has made my voice sound amazing.
Yeah.
Like this, got that radio voice going on. I've always had the radio face. I've always had the radio face. You know, the face for radio. Never the voice.
All right. Is everybody rolling?
I am rolling.
Yep.
Cool. We're going to do a sync clap. That'll be 1, 2, 3, clap. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right.
What's up, Cam? My favorite person in the world, next to my wife.
You're just saying that because it's true.
It's true. Cam is the savior of the day.
All right.
For the whole month.
All right. I think we're good. Everything looks like it's running and rolling, and yep. Mograph TV's good. All right. Let's do the show. What do y'all say?
All right. Let's
Where
do
are
it.
my notes?
I'm ready.
Come on, notes. Here we go. All right. What's up and welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt, and joining us today from Emotion Hatch, the super talented Hayley Akins.
Hello.
And Mograph is a supplement to our site, mograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other Mograph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. You can email us info@mograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Questions, comments, concerns, queries, grievances, show topic, ideas, artist suggestions. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, mograph.com. Check us out on all the things. Send us some messages. Tell us what's good. Send us your NFTs you want to shill. Send us your questions about things in motion graphics and different types of render engines and different types of programs and 3D, 2D, all the things.
Suggestions for Cinema 4D, send it. We'll send it over to Rick.
There you go. Or you can just hang out with us in our Slack channel or Discord and send them to Rick yourself.
Send them to Rick yourself, yeah. Yep.
Go Rick yourself.
Go Rick. All right.
The week wrap up. One of the things that we didn't talk about last week until the very end of the show, which everybody turns it off at that point, right? So they didn't hear this.
Right.
Is that Camp Mograph sold out?
Yes.
In like a minute. We're very excited.
Yeah.
Very happy about that. I
Extremely
understand
happy,
that not everybody got a ticket, and it makes me sad. Did you realize that tickets were limited?
I did know that tickets were limited. Yes, I was the one who limited the actual tickets. Yes.
Yeah, and it's tough because we want like everybody we know to go, and there's only so much room and cabins. Like you know. Another thing to mention.
Go ahead.
Really quick.
Yes.
If you read the page when you signed up for a single cabin, like the exclusive, like the single cabin thing. If you read the page, it does say that if somebody else is staying in there with you, that they have to also have a ticket. The reason is, like, we still have to pay for their meals and all that other stuff. Just
and
a
all
reminder,
the swag and everything. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Just after talking to multiple people, just want to make sure that that's clear. If there's an issue, please contact us. But we just have to make sure that that person is paid for. We wrote it, but we know that motion motion graphics artists don't read
Do
anything.
not read their emails. Yeah.
We're just double checking because I don't want there to be any surprises. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Just wanted to mention.
You got to
that.
make sure there's shirts for everyone, and we're working on some really cool swag. We got some really cool swag this year. I am very excited about it.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun.
Oh man,
very excited
the one
about
thing
that
in
one.
particular I know you're really excited about.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh,
That'll be
it's
fun.
gonna be so cool. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. You wanna thank our sponsors?
Yes,
Matt?
I absolutely 100% want to thank our
should.
sponsors
wish you
because sponsors help keep the costs of camp down and also get that cool swag and all the fun libations that we have throughout camp. So huge shout out to them. First off, our global sponsor, Otoy. Otoy is presenting Camp Mograph. We're super excited to have them on board as our global sponsor. Thank you, Otoy. And then our two village sponsors, as of right now, are Maxon and Video Copilot. So you'll be staying in one of the two villages, either the Maxon village or the Video Copilot village, which will be a lot of fun. And then thank you to our gold sponsor, Grayscale Gorilla. We love them over at Grayscale Gorilla. Thank you so much for sponsoring. So make sure if you're coming to camp or even if you're not, give some love to our sponsors for helping keep camp so cheap. You know, we've had a lot of people be like, man, your camp is cheap. You should raise your prices a lot more. You should be way more expensive. And we're like, nah. That's why we get the sponsors.
Find a happy medium for everybody, you know.
I think, me personally, I think this is as high as it goes. That's just me. You know, that don't quote me on it next year, but
no
I'm pretty
quotes
sure.
On that. Look at inflation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right, because you know, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah. Next year we'll be like priced out of it where we can't afford the camp because of inflation. Be like, well, we couldn't move the camp. We couldn't move the prices.
Right.
Sorry, no camp.
Yep, we got a lot of other things in the work. You know, Camp Mograph business-wise that we're excited about. So.
Yeah.
You know, nothing to announce right now, but stuff coming up. So make sure if you're interested, sign up for the newsletter, which is Camp Mograph at campmograph.com. You know, also if you're still trying to get in case we've got any tickets that like get released or you know someone can't come, make sure and sign up for the wait list, which you can also find that campmograph.com and then click on tickets and it'll take you to our Eventbrite page.
And make sure that you are watching Mograph TV. Because you're going to start seeing some more clips of different shows. You're going to be seeing some new content. We were watching all of the NAB replays last week. It was fun to watch.
It was super cool, especially like being there and then getting that refresher and stuff. Yeah, it was very nice. Now,
make sure you put it on if you're in a studio or if you're at home, put it on. You know, it's like your news channel, except it's not as depressing. So just put it on. And
not as depressing.
Not as depressing.
Still depressing.
It depends on how bad you feel when you look at it and realize how great some of these artists are. You know, it's just like, oh man, I'm never gonna be that good.
I saw someone on Twitter the other day talking about how, you know, they get like really bad imposter syndrome coming to like some of these events like, you know, NAB or whatever and seeing all these amazing artists. And, you know, I was thinking about it and I was like, you know, one thing you have to understand is all the artists feel that way too. Like they're all looking at all these amazing artists as well and like, oh yeah, I'm not that good. I'm not that good.
Yeah.
So
anyway. All right, so here is the real question of the week. I'm going to need some input on this from both of y'all. I think the internet's talking about it, and I think it's going to be just a huge debate because, you know, I think people are going to be on both sides of the fence on this.
Okay.
Did people miss a daily?
Oh, that's an interesting. Yeah. Okay. That is. Yeah. Okay. I see that.
Okay. I think it's a good question.
I'm of the no camp. Because
I am too.
Just because he didn't post it doesn't mean he didn't do it. You know,
Hayley, did you see what happened with this? First of all, like
I'm like vaguely aware. So didn't he go on the Tonight Show? But then did he make one on there? But he didn't post that one. Is that right?
He didn't post it until like 12:02, like his local time, and it's like.
I think that's okay.
What you have to understand is also the Tonight Show is like recorded like 4 hours or 5 hours earlier.
Right.
You
so
know,
he had already done it.
He had already done it. You know, it's not. I don't think it's so much about posting the work every day. It's about doing the work.
Exactly.
Right.
If it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
tree
I don't think-
falls
I
in the
don't-
forest, you know,
Right.
if a beeple is made and it's not posted, does it really exist?
Does it exist? Right.
I say
right,
yes.
Exactly.
It still
Yeah.
exists. We
Yeah.
have
I-
evidence. Yeah.
I think it's fine. I think the thing that I would think about is if he's consistent most of the time. So I feel like even if he did miss a day, as long as
Yeah.
it wasn't then another day and then another
Right.
day,
Right.
then I feel like we can give him like a little bit of slack.
Right.
don't know.
Right,
The other
right.
question is, what time zone was he in? Because
Exactly.
technically it was still
Yeah.
that day, right?
Well,
Like-
it wasn't not in his time zone. No, it was
Right, but what-
12:02. But our time zone, it was totally fine.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. Also, you have to keep in mind, like, you know, you don't want to post the work before the show happens, because
Right.
then everyone sees. Like, that was me. That I was looking at it, I was like, you know, I was excited to see the work, you know, but then he posted it saying that he forgot, and I was like, oh, but they haven't even revealed it yet, you know.
Yeah.
Like, technically they revealed
Yeah.
it on the show to everyone,
Right.
like around 3 or 4 p.m., you know, just because the world hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. He didn't miss a day. I still think he could have done better though. That one wasn't that great.
He was like really like hard on himself. It looked like
Nah.
it looked like on all his stories he was just like really upset that he missed this, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
you didn't really miss it.
Yeah.
No
Whatever.
way, bro.
Dude, so speaking of Beeple, yesterday there was like a Beeple scammer or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh gosh, and they went through and tagged every single person who's like following him or who he's following, and it almost got me. Had I been on my computer, I probably would have done something, because the one that he was, you know, that they were airdropping seemed very Beeple, you know, Mother's Day, whatever, you know, and it's like, and so I was like, maybe, but then what was it? I hit up Rev, and Rev is like my first contact, because I assume that he'll like talk to people, but he never does. He never actually answers me. He answers me just as quickly as Beeple answers me, you know? And so I hit up both of them. I'm like, hey, is this legit? What's going on? And then I was like, oh no. Once I realized it was like someone like stealing or whatever, I was
Yeah.
like, oh crap, might want to say something. But I
Yeah.
reported him. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy times that we live in. People just are trying to steal your information, like, and it's absolutely insane. You know, just with a simple click of a button, like they can steal all your money from your MetaMask in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know.
It's scary.
Yeah, I had like an Instagram scam thing like
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, I think, and it looked really legit. But then, do you know that you can go into Instagram and you can check like what emails they've sent you, like in your
Oh,
actual
really?
account?
I
Yeah,
didn't
and
know that.
I was really impressed by that. I was like, oh, that's cool. So then
Interesting.
so I found out that it wasn't, because it was like a copyright claim thing, and obviously you like panic, you know, and especially
Right.
because in the past we've shared like artists' work and stuff like that if they use a hashtag and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, it wasn't. It was even to like a different email. It wasn't the email that I use
Crazy.
for my account. So yeah. I
They
was-
try every little thing to get you. You know, that's the thing. They want to catch you just in that split second that you're not paying attention, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not thinking about it. It looked really,
Yeah.
really legit as well. So
Yeah.
be careful, everybody.
Yeah. My wife actually just wrote a book. She's a librarian, and she wrote a book about digital citizenship, which is basically like, you know, how to keep yourself from being scammed and training yourself in order to know what is legit and what is not. It's very interesting.
And what's too legit?
What's too legit to quit?
Quit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. By the way, we didn't get to talk last week about about the Beeple toys that Phil made. We did not talk about them at all. He handmade all of these
Yes.
Beepleman toys, and like 3D printed them and hand painted them and made the packaging for them and everything. I've got mine right here. The problem is mine is the glue
Little
came
smushed.
off of in transit, so I've got to hold it like
Mine
super
is
flat.
Still in my my suitcase. I took my suitcases
There you
out
go.
and then tested positive for COVID, so I
Yeah.
left everything in
this.
there.
Look at this.
That's amazing.
The
It's so
monitor
cool.
is falling. I got to fix it, but I got to reglue that. But certificate of authenticity. Look at that. You got the reflective NFT, like hologram sticker, the whole deal. He made the whole thing, and he made these for all of the people who hold one of these NFTs. But of course, he made like a special one for Winkleman, and put it in a briefcase and presented it to him at NAB
Yeah.
and everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, Hayley, let's talk about you. Let's talk about what
Yeah.
you've been doing. We talked probably at the beginning of
It was-
COVID.
No, I
think it was
we-
before that,
Maybe
wasn't it?
before. Oh, maybe
No, it was
before,
way
yeah.
before. Yeah, I was still in
2019.
my old house.
Oh
You
wow.
know? It was
Okay.
yeah, it was right before Motion Hatch like officially launched. I think it was like a few weeks before.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, so
No.
it's
Was
been
it?
that
Was
long
it?
ago?
It wasn't
No, I think-
that
Yeah.
long ago.
No, there was one in
Was- yes.
between.
Was
there
there
was
one
one
in between?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
okay.
this is
Oh, we
your
didn't-
third
is
time.
it-
That's
third
right.
one.
That's right. Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
That
Okay,
makes sense.
okay.
I didn't realize that. I thought we'd only done two as well.
Yeah.
But
I think
maybe
we
it's
did one
the third.
before video, before we did like live
Yes,
streaming.
that
like,
was at the old house. That was
Yeah.
at my old house. Yeah.
old
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, I
Oh.
feel like my background and setup has probably improved dramatically.
Yes.
So.
Dramatically. Yes.
Yeah.
Same with us.
Professionally
yeah.
on
I mean,
point.
look,
Yeah.
we got colors on the walls and everything.
I know.
Yeah, we got colored lights. Everyone,
Right?
check us out.
We're like real YouTubers and stuff. you
Right?
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you handle COVID? Like what went on in your world? And did you have any issues like many of us did? Like when everything hit, the economy went nuts, or
I think it was a tricky one because I think obviously people were a little bit scared in the beginning to kind of keep spending money on things, which that obviously includes like courses and their education and stuff like that. So I think that side of it had a little bit of an impact, but then also the other side of it, because we were doing lots of mastermind programs and things like that where people meet up in like peer support groups, that really helped a lot of people because they were obviously at home working and some people weren't used to that and that kind of thing. So having other artists around you to speak to during that time, I think was really, really helpful. So we kind of saw it sort of evened out a bit for us in terms of like, you know, what happened with Motion Hatch and like how many students we had at that time and that kind of thing. Because I think some people were like, oh no, I'm not going to put anything into progressing, you know, on an education front because I don't know when the next job is coming in. Then some people were like, well, I'm not busy right now, so I should learn more things, you know. So it was a little bit of a mixture, I think, on that front.
Yeah.
I guess probably a good thing to do is give everybody a rundown of what you do. I always kind of assume that everybody has watched the last episode with the same person, but that's not usually the case. So what is the, I guess, elevator pitch?
Yeah, so Motion Hatch is an online school, I guess, now where we help motion designers and animators with the business side of things. So how to charge for your work and how to get clients consistently, maybe how to niche down, how to build systems in your freelance business and all of that kind of good stuff. All the stuff that everybody struggles with and that sometimes kind of don't want to think about, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you've got a couple different things, including some of the new. You've got some links for us. Do we want to give out those links now? If people want to check them out, it's motionhatch.com/Mograph course. That is, I'll let you.
Do you want me to tell you?
I'll let you explain.
Do it.
You're way better.
Yeah, so we've got a free 5-day course. So if you want like a little intro to Motion Hatch and also help to get your next client in 5 days, then that would be the best place to go to. So you can go to motionhatch.com/Mograph course. And yeah, we'll send you some emails over the next 5 days, just helping you to figure out how to get clients. So there's a little bit in there about how to do research on LinkedIn and that kind of things, and how to warm your clients up a little bit before you email them, and what you should write in an email, like an email structure. Yeah, and all of that kind of stuff. So that would be the best place to go for that. And then also, if you go to motionhatch.com / was it Mograph Social?
Mograph Social, yeah.
Yeah, and then that is a free social media guide, because I know a lot of people struggle with what to post on social media. So in there, we've got 50 different post examples. So that's, if you think about it, that's like a whole year's worth of content if you're going to post weekly, because not everybody can be like people and post every day.
Right.
So, you know, this is just trying to give everyone a little helping hand, and thinking, so you can think about like different things to post, because obviously the problem that we have as artists is coming up with post ideas. And in there you'll see that I talk about content that is relatable and interactive and community based and sales based, because what you don't want to do when you're posting on social media is just always be kind of shouting about you and your work. You obviously want to be part of the community. And I think it really helps you to break it down into these categories of relatable, interactive, community, and sales. So it's like a relatable post might be, you know, something that helps everyone get to know you a little bit more, maybe a bit behind the scenes of your life, that kind of thing. And interactive is obviously, you know, oh, what do you think of this design? Do you think this color's better, or this color, type of thing?
Right.
And then a community post could be something where you're giving some value back, teaching a skill, recommending or celebrating others, which is kind of like what you all do at mograph.com so very well all the time. So that's nice. And then, you know, obviously that probably helps you to raise your profile and stuff like that as well. And then obviously like sales posts are like, you know, where you're promoting yourself, sales or promotional types of posts. So it gives you these different categories in the guide, and then it also gives you different types of examples that you might post as a designer or an animator in there as well.
Yeah, from social media standpoint, like the relatable part, that's something that really applies, I feel like, to TikToks and to Instagram Reels, because like if you're having, let's say you're having a problem with something, right? You know, something, don't you hate it when After Effects crashes, you know, something like that, right? If you do something like that, other artists see that, and that's super relatable. That's the kind of content. And have you been doing TikToks yet?
Yeah, so I mean, I started doing them, and then it was like, oh, is this working? Is it not? I think it was like a year and a half ago or something. I'm always trying to play around with stuff, so I do things for a bit, but I feel like I should do more in there. But at the moment, we're mainly concentrating on our YouTube channel as like the main platform, and this is the advice that I would give to everyone else as well: is like pick one platform. Don't be trying to like do all of the things like Twitter,
stretch
YouTube,
yourself too thin.
TikTok, you know, Instagram. A lot of the students at the moment in our Client Quest course are getting a lot of success on LinkedIn, which I know everyone's like, LinkedIn, really? Yeah, exactly. Like exactly what you just did, Matt.
One of our biggest clients came from LinkedIn, surprisingly. It took 4 years, but yes, they eventually came, and they're one of our biggest clients now.
Yeah, I think it's a great platform, because it used to be a bit like stuffy and too corporate.
It's still pretty stuffy.
Well, but then that's good, see, because now what is happening is if you're a motion designer, you can go over there and show some really nice work and some behind the scenes of what you do. And then it kind of breaks up the feed for everyone, and it keeps you top of mind. And then if you also go on there and get involved with other motion designers and you start commenting on each of the posts and that kind of thing, your post can stick around for a lot longer than they would say on Instagram, where it's just like, I mean, I'm not convinced they even show up sometimes now, because Instagram really want you to pay. But I think that LinkedIn's organic reach is still really good, and obviously because it's a B2B platform, like business to business platform, you're getting a lot of clients and kind of people getting direct clients on there and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of the students are putting a lot of effort into LinkedIn and seeing results. In my course, I basically teach you how to go through and test out what platform works best for you. But just from hearing the feedback from everyone recently, LinkedIn's definitely been the top one.
Crazy. I would have never expected. Would have never expected that.
Do they do 9:16 on LinkedIn? Do they do like the portrait mode video stuff yet? Are they trying to get in like TikTok and Reels?
Yeah, I'm not up on exactly all the latest LinkedIn updates. You know, I always say like everyone has to do like research on that front because it's just changed. Like, you know, it changes every single day. But I haven't seen anything. One post that one of my students did recently that was really, really good as part of our social media challenge that we did. I think he did that like 4-3, and it was like behind the scenes of how he made stuff, and he was doing like where he filmed himself and then he showed the character like based on the stuff he filmed of himself like acting a little bit, and it was just really good and really engaging, and it got a lot of comments and stuff like that. And he was saying that he got some more clients out of like posting more on there, so I was just really proud of that. And just, you know, when you make a really good post and you actually put effort into the video, I think that it definitely pushes it out to more people on there.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to do it, Dave. I'm going to do it. Yeah, Hayley, you've convinced me, Dave. So this is what I'm going to do with Nexus Motion. We'll spend the next month or something making posts for Nexus Motion and posting them on LinkedIn, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
We'll report back in a month.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do, because I'm always looking, you know, I'm always asking my students what they're doing, what's working, what's not working, because then that means that I can pass it on to everyone else as well. So if you try some stuff and you're like, yeah, this went great, you know, let me know.
I understand like I understand why LinkedIn could be so powerful, because a lot of the artists are going to Instagram and to Twitter or like having their own site and stuff like that. And it's like you want to go to the places where there's not it's not saturated, you know? And it's like, okay, you've got a ton of stuffy corporate people who are looking for video people, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, here it is, right here.
Try.
Yeah.
And this content can be used on multiple platforms if you do it the right way. You know, it's kind of a strategy, you know, if you are going multi-platform. Number one, TikToks, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Stories, I guess they're called, and Instagram Stories. All of that can kind of be combined into one thing. The thing you have to watch out for is, here's the tough part. If you're making your 9:16 content, right, and you're making it in a program like Splice, you could easily upload it to multiple platforms. But if you're doing some of that editing like within the TikTok app, right, which they want you to do, they want on-screen text that's readable, you know, they want you to have the little voice saying OMG, my After Effects crashed. OMG, you know, whatever.
That's good, Dave. That's
they want that, but you'll have to do that. You'll have to add that in both platforms when you post it. They're looking for that TikTok logo. Now, there's another thing you can do. There are a couple sites where you can go in and actually run your finalized video from TikTok. It will erase the TikTok logo off the video, like replace it, and then you put it on. But my experience so far has been that if you're in motion graphics, you can do fine on TikTok. You're either going to be that behind the scenes relatable person, or you're going to be an account that like posts a daily every day with music, because that's something that appeals to more than just artists, like just rando people. But I will say the view count of Instagram Reels is way higher right now, and I think it's because there's more artists on Instagram.
Well, what's our follower count on Instagram versus, you know?
Oh, I don't know. Well, it's
because I'm curious
at
that versus like, you know, I wonder if as a business strategy, you know, Facebook is pushing out more of these Instagram Reels that they would normally have companies pay for, you know, in order to be like, oh, this platform is better than this other platform.
Yeah, they always push out their latest feature. That's why it's good to try out like the latest features of stuff like you know, like YouTube Shorts. We're like playing around with that, and we're like, is this working? Is it not? Because that's YouTube's like well, actually, I think I heard that they're doing stories too now, like literally yesterday or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everywhere, but and I think it's worth playing around with that stuff, but if you're like a motion designer listening to this, I would think about what's your main platform, and then maybe, like you said, how can you repurpose from that? But just if you're overwhelmed, just literally just stick to one platform, test it out for 3 months, and then see if that helps you to get clients or even be more part of the community. Because when you know more of the motion designers and you network with people, obviously that helps you to get work as well. So it's not all about getting clients, but you've got to think about what's the result am I trying to achieve by posting on social. And I think the problem that a lot of people have is they're like, oh, I don't want to do it, it's distracting, it doesn't give me any results. But I think you have to give it time. You've got to learn a little bit about what that platform kind of wants to see, so following other accounts that do well, and then think about what results you want to get and like track it, go back and keep looking at the metrics and that kind of thing, and ask your clients. That's the biggest thing that I always tell everyone. Like when a client comes to you, say, how did you find me? That should be your first question.
Yeah, and the other thing about Instagram versus TikTok would be like TikTok, we got a lot of followers, not quite as many as our Instagram, but they're just random people. I feel like the people following us on Instagram are very much of a niche audience. Like they're very, very like fine-tuned into what we're doing. So the kind of thing they're going to want to see is like clips from the show, right? Don't get as many hits on clips from the show on TikTok, because people on TikTok want to see talking heads, talking about behind the scenes. Like you're not a talking head, a clip from a show, talking head holding a phone and talking to them, So that's another thing that you can take into account when you're talking about, is this, how am I presenting my brand? Am I presenting this as an artist? I'm just an artist. You're going to see cool stuff every day. Or am I presenting this as, here's my brand, here's what goes on at the office every day, and here's someone who works with me, and, it's two ways of presenting yourself.
Yeah.
So, now that's just one type, right? Because you were talking about sales as well, and that's a little bit different. You also talk about, and this goes into the first link, the client link. You're talking about sales funnels, and I think a lot of people don't even understand funnels. I mean, I do ads, and I barely understand funnels.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's all over my head right now.
Yeah, so like I think that would be a good thing to explain. For people who've never worked with anything like that before.
Yeah, so it's tricky because you've got kind of different things. So if we're talking about, the main things that we're teaching in our course Client Quest, we're more talking about a marketing funnel. So in Client Quest, I talk about how you would have different stages of the funnel, right? So the first one would be awareness. So that's obviously talking about, well, who is aware of me? Those people are in this little kind of pot, almost little segment. And then you've got attraction, and that's where they're like, oh, they're a little bit closer to you, they're getting attracted to you. Maybe they looked at your website, maybe they saw a social media post, something like that. And then the next one is action, which is a little bit different to a traditional marketing funnel, but this is what I call the 4 A's freelance funnel. So it's easy to remember. It's awareness, attraction, action, advocacy. So then action is when they like sign a contract with you, they, come on board for a job. So obviously now they're a client. So you can see like you have lots of people in the awareness section, then you'll have like a little bit more like less people in the attraction section. So it's kind of like people who are listening to podcasts can't see, but I'm like trying to do the shape of a funnel on the live stream. But so you have like more people in awareness, then a few less people in attraction, because obviously some people like get filtered out. And then in action you have a few less people who are obviously your clients, and then I add on like advocacy on there at the end as well. So that's about who are your advocates or your fans, you know, and they're the people that are going to help you get more clients, because you can kind of activate them through referrals and through testimonials and things like that. So that is a marketing funnel. And then obviously you've got things like a sales funnel. It can kind of be the same, but kind of a little bit different. So a traditional kind of online marketing sales funnel would be something where you'd have a lead magnet or something like that, which I don't know whether I mean, people could test this out. This isn't necessarily what I teach, but it's another type of funnel. So you'd have a lead magnet. So something, say, I don't know, you want to, one of my students, for example, he wants to work in nature conservation, you know, so he wants to do animations for nature conservation, which makes sense, you know, very niche. So he could maybe write a guide, you know, like a little ebook or something that was that's like, okay, how to use animation to grow awareness for your nature conservation project. I don't know, I'm just making this stuff up on the spot, but you know, something like that. And that potentially could attract clients, and he could say, hey, you can download this for free. You know, you could go onto LinkedIn, he could talk about how animation helps you to create more awareness for your nature conservation brand or something like that. And then he could say, hey, download my free ebook about how this can help you. And then if you get help and information from someone, you're more likely to work with them. So then those clients might come back and be like, oh, okay, well, he knows loads about, you know, doing nature conservation, how animation helps it. Oh, we want to do an animation. Of course, we're going to go to him. So that's kind of like more of a traditional sales funnel.
You make yourself example, almost like an
expert on something.
An expert on about that specific thing, and then the people. Absolutely.
So, for example, Matt, if we did a white paper on how we do virtual sets.
Okay, without
the use of Unreal, right? Like how we do it the practical way for static camera shots, you know, which we do for tons of different people right now. We can't spend the money to have rent an entire volume, you know, for Unreal. So like that, you put that together. You even diagram like how you do it, but not exactly how you do it. You know. How you would do it, like, I guess if you were like writing it up for a patent or something, you know, it kind of shows a diagram. But yeah, you give that out for free. I could see how that would be valuable, because they're like, man, they really know what they're doing. We should just give them a call. Okay, you know.
It's and like there's been a few times where it's like, for example, like with camp, right? I'll use camp as an example. We want to do. This isn't set in stone, so no one quote me on this. You know, we really want to do like some tie-dye stuff. You know, it's like, oh, this would be awesome to do some fun tie-dye stuff. But then I'm on TikTok and I'm seeing some of these people who are doing like amazingly awesome tie-dye, and it's like, well, wouldn't it just be worth it just to have them come to camp and teach everyone tie-dye? You know,
right?
It's like, because they're out there being the subject matter experts, it's like someone who's looking to do something like that is more inclined to hire the subject matter expert than to actually go through and do it themselves.
Right.
Yeah, it's very easy to see how this stuff works from like a niche client perspective, but you know, in the course we just show you all the different ways about like, okay, in your awareness part of the funnel, what activities are you doing? So there's like different activities you can do in there, and obviously social media is like a big part of that, because you know, social media is the main way we get people to know about who we are, to be aware of us, or like in-person events and things like that. Like obviously we're all just at NEB as well, which was really great. And then you know, in the attraction part you might have things that going a little bit deeper, so maybe things like case studies and stuff like that, or like showing more process and behind the scenes on your website, that kind of thing, like things that can draw people to you a little bit closer. And then obviously, you know, you have like your contracts and your pitches and your proposals and all of those kind of different activities in the lower part. So I think that for most people, I don't know whether I would recommend like a lead magnet to be, I guess that would be in attraction, that would be an activity that someone could do in the attraction section. But I don't know whether for most people that would really work. I think that you'd have to have a niche because like you said, you have to be an expert on a certain subject to write about that too. I guess you could try and do it, but it would just mean you would be like creating lots of different guides for lots of different clients, which doesn't really work. Whereas like case studies and things like that are maybe a little bit more of an obvious choice in that section for like a motion designer. Just wanted to go into that a little bit deeper in case people are like, what, they're talking about lead magnets? And you know what I mean?
Tell me, talk to me a little bit about like leads. Like, so when I hear leads, right? I think about,
coffee is for closers.
No, I mean, I think, of these people, these spammy people emailing me saying, oh, we've got 10,000 leads for you. Yeah. It's a whole email list of blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's what I think of.
Yeah. So leads, I just like to think of it as a lead as just a potential client. So just think of it as like, okay, I say leads, it's probably because I like read too many business books and stuff like that, but we can just say potential clients if you want, so it's like that's probably what I say more in the course, I think. So like a lead is just a potential, someone who can be potentially become a client or customer of yours. So that's what a lead is. So it's something that you are like, people say like, oh yeah, you're gonna go after more leads or something like that. Like you're going to try and track these potential clients down, and convert them into clients of yours, or into customers or whatever. It's kind of like universal. It doesn't matter really what business you're in. These are all the kind of same terms. And what I'm trying to do is just, I guess, simplify it and just make it more digestible for like designers and animators, because these are the kind of things that we don't really care about. We don't care about like, what a lead is or whatever, but we want to get more work and we want to work on more fun projects and we want to have more clients that, pay us well and things like that. So I'm trying to make it more digestible and easier for people to understand and essentially build more systems around their business so they don't have to concentrate on, like thinking about, okay, where's the next project coming from and all of this kind of stuff all the time, that they have something that they just go back to again and again. And they know, okay, I do this. So maybe I spend 30 minutes on social media a day, like commenting on people's posts and to build my network, but also warming up some clients. And then maybe the next day I spend 30 minutes looking at my client tracker or CRM, like, which is like a customer relationships manager, but I say client relationship manager because that's more applicable to everybody. So you would go and look at that and you'd be like, okay, I need to contact this person and I haven't spoken to that client for a while, so I'm going to send them a little email telling them about this new project that I was just doing, so they're kind of keeping on top of it and they have a system that they can repeat again and again. And what happens when you build that out is you don't have to think about it and you don't have to be doing the thing that everyone does where they work really hard on a project and then they're like, oh great, I've got a client, I'm going to do this, it's awesome, and then they get out of that project and then they haven't got any clients and they're like, and they're oh my god out. And then they like email hundreds of people and then like maybe they have to go a couple of weeks or a month or whatever and then they get another client, but then it's just really stressful and it's not like consistent kind of steady building long-term relationships. And when you do that, you get, obviously, if you're consistent with your outreach, with your social media, and you build it into a system, you're going to get consistent results from that, because it's like you're planting these little seeds all the time. And some of them take like years to grow, some of them take a couple of years to come back to you, some of them take like a day to come back to you and turn into a project, so you don't know. So what I always tell everyone is you've got to have a system where you can just be doing this like kind of constantly, which sounds overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be, because if you do that, then gradually you just get more and more people coming to you and you can start to like weed out the ones that you don't want. You can like go, oh, I'm not sure I don't want to work with those types of clients anymore, so I'm going to say no to that project, and you can raise your rate more because obviously you're more confident about the work coming in and things like that.
Right. And, and a lot of people, for those motion designers out there who are listening and they're like, oh, I don't know, that sounds spammy. I don't like doing the salesy thing, blah, blah, blah. What you have to realize is, while yes, it is salesy because you're trying to bring in more work, as someone who works at a studio hiring people, we sometimes forget, because we'll get into the weeds with a project or something and we'll forget that there are other people available, and we're like, who can we hire, and completely forget about that person, but by continually being at the top of that person's mind, or at the top of that studio's mind, it's like, hey, we're available if you need us. It's like, okay, now I know who to go to. And then once you prove yourself, that you then become the most valuable asset that they have.
Yeah, that's
Cam, for example. Cam is the most valuable asset we have right now. Cam, if you're listening, you are my asset.
But it's true though, isn't it? At the end of the day, I think that we need to reframe this idea of it's kind of gross to sell and stuff like that. When I think about selling, I think about, well, do you have something that is of value to someone else that they really need? So obviously with agencies and animation studios and all of those people, they need motion designers to help them, of course, and then if you're going kind of, a level above that, like the direct clients and brands, they need people to help them to create animations and different motion graphic pieces to build awareness for their brands, so they can kind of sell more products. And maybe that is a little bit gross. It depends who you're working for, but if you've got more consistent clients coming in, you can start to make a choice about who you work with. And what I like to think is, by helping artists and creative people make more money, I'd like to think that they can, choose the things that they work on and kind of make a bit of a better impact in society, because we have to realize that we are marketing things for people, and we have to think about, okay, what are these products and what are these companies doing, and are they doing the right thing? And I feel like if we as artists can be more picky about the kind of work that we can do, maybe we can have a more positive impact on the world, and even if that's just taking better care of your family because you have more money and more time and you're not as stressed because you have a nice solid base of clients, it can be even as simple as that.
Absolutely.
Do you think that obviously studios are more likely to do this, but do you think that a contractor, that is worth it for them to advertise themselves? So for example, you might post a short video on something that's a TikTok or a reel or whatever it is, something on Facebook. Do you think that it's worth it to promote some of those posts, to spend a little bit of money to promote those posts to get them out there? Whether that's like a piece of art or a podcast or whatever.
Yeah, so I think from lots of people ask me this all the time, and I have, I probably know a little bit more than most people about paid advertising in this industry, I'm guessing, but not, I'm not an expert. But I would say that I think I haven't seen a lot of people trying it, so I don't know how well it works. I think from potentially, if you had a YouTube channel or a podcast or something like that, and you were selling products and things, or like conferences, a bit more like what you're doing, I think it makes more sense maybe. And, we do paid advertising occasionally, like we'll even do paid advertising to some of our free courses as well, because you kind of want more people to be aware of you, and you don't want to just sell them a paid course straight away. I think that makes sense. I don't know from an artist perspective whether paying to share your reel. I mean, maybe it's a good experiment that we should do and put on our channel or something like that. But
it depends where it is. I could see it working better on LinkedIn because that's like B2B looking for that specifically. But the problem is if you promoted that kind of a post, you know, like a piece of art that you did on TikTok, you're going to get follows and you're going to get likes, but it's just going to be random 10-year-olds who liked it because they thought it looked cool. It's not somebody who's really going to...
spam accounts.
Yeah, it's going to be bots. It's going to be all that. And then Instagram, I feel like, would be in the middle, right? Because, you know, I don't know. I feel like Instagram really knows how to advertise to Mograph people. But have you found any... Have you come across any issues now that Apple iPhones, they're not tracking things anymore? Is that becoming problematic? Because I feel like it has.
Yeah.
I think it's more expensive. It seems
Yeah.
like, you know, it seems like you have to spend more money for people to see things. I mean, we don't do like too much paid advertising. Maybe we do a little bit here and there, or like if we're doing a specific thing like campaign, or we want people to see like this social media challenge that we just did or something like that, for example, we might do it. But I think for me, more of the organic reach tends to work better, because if you make good content, you know, and it's, for example, on YouTube or something like that, I think that it does push it out to people. I mean, that's why I personally have been, you know, kind of doing a weekly YouTube video now, because I think it's a really good platform, and if you make a good video, people do watch it and they do see it. And also I like, compared to a podcast, I mean, we're getting a little bit away from the artist kind of side of it, but I know a lot of people are thinking about going into education as well, so maybe they find it interesting. You know, a podcast is really hard to interact with the audience, and on YouTube, and this is why this is cool that we're live now, because obviously people can talk to us and things like that, and I think that for me that's made a big difference, because I can actually take questions from, you know, the comments the previous week and then make a video about it the next week and kind of directly help people in that way. Whereas on the podcast, obviously you might get some feedback on social media, but it's just not as frequent, and people don't feel like they can kind of comment on it as much. I don't think.
For sure. Yeah.
One
You're
of the
almost
things-
relying on like emails or anything, some sort of
Yeah,
outward-
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which people aren't as inclined to do. Whereas if you're like, hey, just leave a comment below the video,
Right.
then obviously they're more likely to do that. So
Right.
yeah, I think
yeah.
we can do that as artists on a small scale though as well, like motion designers, like we were saying, you could make reels and stuff like that. And especially if you're thinking about maybe getting into making tutorials or something, a lot of the time I suggest maybe starting on reels, or just doing like a quick like 2-minute tutorial and even putting it on Twitter or somewhere like that, you know.
Yeah,
sure.
like I'm all for privacy, and I'm all for, you know, not being super invasive when it comes to ads. The problem that I have with some of this going on lockdown, and Google saying they're going to do the same thing, is that we were actually getting to people through advertising before who wanted our products.
Yeah.
And that's what's disappointing to me, because there's somebody out there who wants to learn Houdini and is scared of learning Houdini. And sees that ad and they're like, stop being afraid of Houdini. And the problem is, before it was easy to find those people, even if those people had even seen a post of ours before or whatever, or especially people who would click on the link and go check it out on the website. They wouldn't buy it, but they'd go check it out. You were able to say, okay, these people over the next, 2 or 3 days, I'm going to advertise a different ad to them similar again, right? Okay, and they'll start seeing it again. Of course, that's based on tracking. Of course. We're not really like stealing anybody's information. We're not, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of where that line is, about the privacy stuff and Apple. It's like, okay, that person will see that a few times and be like, you know what? I'm really going to check this out. And then they get the course, and it's specific to something they want, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're not advertising junk to them. We're advertising something they would want. They don't
Well,
get that anymore.
That's
they don't,
just because we have high quality courses.
Right.
Some of these other people may be getting junk.
But they don't get that now, right? Like, it'll go across your feed possibly, but it cannot track that other stuff anymore. It can't find that person who was really on the fence and really needed to look at all the details on the web page and be convinced that this is for them. You can't do that. Now it's just very, very broad. Like you said, Hayley, it's more expensive because you're just blanket. It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah, I think that I certainly feel like that when, you think about like, oh, is it right to like track someone and all of that kind of stuff. But
Right.
I think it's down to the individual companies and sometimes I think like I'd rather have targeted ads because they're probably going to be more for products I actually want to buy instead of like just random crap,
Yeah, I see stuff that
I don't
looks
know.
appealing to me all the time, and I'm like, I know they're selling to me. Obviously, I
Yeah,
know they're
exactly.
selling to
Like,
me.
yeah.
The
it's
biggest
a tricky
problem
one.
the biggest problem I've found with like advertising, especially on like TikTok, I will never buy anything off of TikTok ever again
me too.
because the past 3 times that I have bought something, that never shows up.
Yeah,
It just doesn't show
Yeah.
up.
I
Then I've got to go through the whole hassle of like doing a chargeback on my credit card, and
Yeah.
it takes me months and months and months. And it's like I've probably spent $500 or $600 on stuff from TikTok and just never received it.
Yeah, I ordered some really good dash cams a few months ago, and then one day, a pair of knockoff iPhone, iPod, Bluetooth headphones came in the mail. And I'm like, where are these from? What is this?
Yeah.
Until I looked up I actually looked up the tracking number and figured out that it came from that order. And nobody ever answered me on it, of course. So then you got to call the bank. Yeah.
It's a pain.
Yeah.
I think that like sort of to kind of round up this conversation a bit, I think that we should just not that I'm trying to, but I just feel like we maybe we got off on a bit of a tangent about paid
And
ads. but
advertising and
yeah. I think that what I would like everyone to think about and maybe take away is think about how are you providing value to other people,
100%.
and especially when you're posting on social media and things like that is how is this post providing value to someone else, and really think about who that person is, So in the businessy world, very technical terms over here, that's called like your avatar, So you think about who is my avatar, who am I trying to attract, how can I offer value to them, and what problem are they trying to solve? So this especially works very well if you're trying to attract a direct client who is in a specific niche or niche, depends where you're from. But that works really well to think about, who is this person and what problem are they trying to solve? It doesn't work as well for like advertising agencies and stuff like that and studios, but I think it's still about like when you're posting on social, what sort of value am I giving here? Am I showing someone my process? Will that help to understand a bit better what I do, or will some other motion designer be able to learn from this? If you're just putting stuff out there and you're like, here's another project I did, here's this project, and you're not really giving any more than that, then I don't really feel like you're going to get much back. But if you're part of the community, you're giving value to other people in the industry, then maybe some other motion designer, you've taught them something, then they work full time somewhere and they're like, oh, we should get this person in, they actually live just down the road. You can get work through that way as well. So I think it's tough. Like sometimes people are like, okay, but I'm building my audience, but maybe they're just other motion designers. But I still think that can be valuable and it can still help you to get more work, because one, if people are commenting your posts, it doesn't matter who's engaging, it's still going to show it to more people, So if you like follow different studios and things like that and they follow you, and then your posts are getting pushed up the feed all the time because you're helping other motion designers, that's still going to keep you top of mind, and you look like an expert because you're teaching this stuff. So that could be one way. Or you can be, like I said earlier, kind of teaching more in a bit more of a niche with like a specific direct client in mind. So I kind of went off on a bit of a ramble there, but
No.
But even in that
that's
niche,
helpful.
it's got to be, you still have to understand the platform that you're on specifically, right? Because like, I will
definitely,
totally go to YouTube and watch somebody's like, 1 hour breakdown on how they did something and try and like learn, or whatever. But if that same person even posts a 3-minute version of them doing that on TikTok, I'm going to flip right through it because that's not the time for that. You know, I'm looking for a different kind of content. So it's also about knowing your audience depending on what platform they're on at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true.
But let's get to some freelance stuff as well, because there's a ton of people I'm sure that are listening that, I mean, I know even just on Discord every day when people come and hang out, you got people who are, you know, long-term veterans, you got people who are just starting out in freelance or whatever it is. A lot of people are trying to figure out what's their first step. And now I'm wondering if it's a little bit different for you when you're talking about freelance, because there are people that kind of got into this at the start of COVID, right? Like their first attempt at freelance is in COVID times, which is so different. So the advice that I like to give, the advice that I have been given, has always been like, if you're going to do freelance, you really have to spend some time in the business first. Do you agree with that?
It depends what you mean by in the business. I think that you need to always be working on your business rather than in it. Do you know what I mean? Because when you're working in your business, you're like doing the work, you're in After Effects, you're in Cinema 4D. But when you're working on it, that's when you're like, you know, doing social media, looking at your client tracker, making sure you're keeping those relationships going, those kind of things. So I definitely like differentiate those things. I think that if people are just jumping into freelance, I'd really concentrate on, yes, you need to make a really good portfolio and, you know, put your best work into there and stuff like that. But I see a lot of students, they sort of, because I have a little bit about your portfolio and what your website should be like and how to lay it out and stuff like that in my course. But a lot of people get stuck there because they're so focused on the work. They're like, the work has to be great and this is the only thing. But that's like half the battle. You know, the other half is all the networking and building relationships and putting yourself out there, because you can make the best work in the world, but if no one sees it, you're not going to get any jobs. So I think it's like, yes, concentrate on that. And it is important. But also I think that at some point you have to be like, this is a work in progress, you know, your website portfolio. I'm going to keep adding to this and making it better. But now's the time to start pushing it out there, you know, and creating that like spreadsheet of clients who you want to work with and doing outreach to them, making sure that you're trying to warm them up if possible. And by that, I mean like going on social media, especially somewhere like LinkedIn, where you might have a producer from a studio and they're like, hey, this is my this new work that we just did, you know, at the studio. And then you could be the person that comments on that. And probably most producers on LinkedIn don't get many people commenting on their work. Well, maybe now they do, because I've been telling everyone to do it. But, and then you could like send them an email, you know, a couple of weeks later being like, hey, I love what you do at the studio. I saw this piece of work recently. It was really great. This is what I do. I feel like it's very aligned, you know, and just share your work with them. And I'm sure that they will get back to you if they have a project that would be suitable. So I think it's just about keeping that going. And I would rather everybody, you know, have kind of like 10 people in each part of this funnel, like in each segment at one time. So you're kind of, you know, building your awareness with 10 people. You're kind of you have 10 people in the attraction phase. So maybe you're reaching out to them, you know, and then you've got like 10 people in the advocacy phase that you're trying to get testimonials from, and just kind of keep pushing people through this funnel, you know?
Right.
So it's just like a kind of a bit like a cycle. And then when they get to the end, you know, you actively send them an email asking for a testimonial and saying how much you love to work with them. And if they could, you know, recommend you to anyone else who might need a motion designer, that kind of thing, you know?
And that's the kind of thing that you really have to learn by being in it and doing it. And that's why, like, I feel like the people that I have seen fail in freelance are people who did not work somewhere first. Like, for example, they went straight out of college into freelance. And not that everybody's going to fail at it, but the failures I have seen in freelance have been like that. Oh, I'm going to go skip straight to the freelance part. And then they have a hard time because it's not just the leads and the clients and everything else. It's the business end of it. It's doing taxes and all the other things. It's handling emails. It's handling workflow. It's handling multiple projects at one time when they come up and having a system to handle that,
Yeah, and feedback, like,
Right.
how you deal with, like, getting too much feedback. Is it out of scope? All of these things.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think if you don't have experience, like, working with clients, it's going to be really difficult to go freelance straight away because you don't know how to speak to them and stuff like that as well. I think
I
it's
hear
really
that
tricky.
a lot. Yeah, the whole thing about feedback is when I see people doing freelance for the first time and they're asking about a particular situation that's happened or something, and they're like, oh, they just keep coming back with too much feedback. The first question is, well, how many rounds of feedback did you give them?
Right.
It's like,
Where's
Yeah,
your
well,
exactly.
contract?
well,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Well, what's in the contract? Contract?
What's
You
a
know,
contract?
That's the kind of thing that, like, if you're jumping straight into freelance, you don't
mean,
have
even-
any of that under your
There's
belt.
even seasoned veterans who are like,
Yeah.
contract. I didn't have them sign a contract. It's
Yeah.
like,
Which
Like,
we'll do
sure.
on occasion with a small project for an existing
Yeah.
client. It's like, oh, they come to us all the time.
yeah,
If for some reason, which it wouldn't happen, if that went bad, we would only lose like X amount of dollars. But that's very rare.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very,
Yeah,
those are the
exactly.
people
It's-
that you really trust.
Yeah, it's about, like, how, are you willing to, like, take that chance that you might kind of lose
Right.
that money or something like that, or that it
Right.
would go bad. But I think in most, like, we had the freelance contract bundle that we were selling for a while. I kind of felt like we discontinued it because we don't have a lawyer on our team. Technically we're not allowed to answer legal questions as much as I would like to help people,
Right.
because I've
Right.
gone through all of these contracts in depth. Obviously, I know, like, quite a lot about it
Right.
now, but yeah, so it didn't
That's
feel
not
right
good,
at the
I'll be right
time, but
Yeah.
I feel like I do want to help more with that. I was thinking about doing a video on, like, scopes of work and how that all works, and
Yeah.
how you can, even just giving that to a client without, like, the terms and conditions and stuff
Right.
is definitely, like, a level 1 thing that you definitely should be doing.
You could just do like what all the crypto people do and just say, hey, this is not financial advice, but
Yeah, exactly. I do. Yeah. I'm always saying on all my like one-on-one calls and in our accelerator, I'm like, this
Right.
isn't legal advice. It's just for educational use only. Everyone always laughs at me, but you
That's funny.
got to protect yourself, everyone. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I did think it was I was surprised to hear that you guys discontinued that, but that makes sense, It's like
It's just a level of support, really. That was the only issue. I think that we could bring it back if we can work out a way that we can, like, have a regular Q&A with a lawyer. The only problem is, as well, another reason is because obviously we had the contract bundle
Two
in the
different- yeah.
US, and then we
Yeah.
had the UK one. So then it's like, okay, do we need an office hours with, like, a US lawyer,
Right.
or office hours with the UK one? Then we're getting asked about an Australian one, and I
Oh,
thought,
wow.
oh, this is kind of getting to,
Getting a
like,
little out of hand, yeah.
everybody wants it for their individual country, so that's kind of how. And I just thought, instead of putting all of that infrastructure in place, why don't we pull it in to, like, making obviously, like, our Client Quest course, and then the accelerator that we have that's for people who've been freelance for a little while, and maybe they're trying to figure out what the next step is, and I can really speak to those things. So instead of kind of having all this
For sure.
external, like, legal team, I thought it was worth my time and my team's time to kind of put it into other stuff. But we do, like, help our students a bit with that kind of thing, and kind of try and give them the best advice we can that isn't legal advice.
Right. And it's what you are doing is so important to our industry, because it's stuff. It's things that we all do every day as motion designers. You know, we may not realize we're doing it, you know, but like, for example, I always like to use the example of when I read the Freelance Manifesto. It's like, it gave me clarification that, oh, I was doing a lot of these things correctly, you know, or there are better ways to do certain things, you know.
Or that you like had gaps or something like that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
like,
so like you're like, oh, I'm doing this part of the process, but wait a minute, I'm missing this whole piece that can like completely change the game, you know. And I feel like that's what a lot of people get out of Client Quest as well, because I would say, you know, obviously there's similar things covered from the Freelance Manifesto, but we go a bit more into inbound marketing, which is like attracting people to you via social media and that kind of thing. And I think for a lot of people, you know, unless you're like starting out your freelance career, which there are people doing that as well in there, but for some people who have been like freelancers for 4 years, they come in and they're like, oh, I didn't realize this could be like a system, like a thing that I could create, and it just kind of works itself, you know. You can even use, you know, automate some parts of it. And I'm talking a lot to the students now about, can you build like a survey form where you give it to your clients as soon as they come to you and they fill out these certain questions, and then you automatically have a brief from that, you know, instead of like doing like 10 emails back and forth, and you get to find out quickly whether that's a project for you or not, and that type of thing. So,
and all the things that you have to ask every time: what's the resolution? What's
the
frame rate? All of that too. The automation of everything, even when it comes to the social media posts, you know, that saves you time. Like, you know, the guide you give, you know, talks about 50 ideas or whatever, right? And it's like, you see the Mograph nugs that we put out there with little clips and sound bites from the show, and if I do them in chunks, if I pick a day to sit down, I can do like a whole bunch of them, and it's like, oh, hey, that's gonna last me for 3 months now. You know, and you can release that. That saves you time rather than trying to do one, sit down and do one every week. You know, that amount of time you have to. So anything that you can do to automate. I like the idea of the new client having one. Maybe have a post survey for your client.
Yeah, exactly. Well. We talk about that as well, like in the advocacy section, about having kind of like a, you know, like a retro where you'd have a meeting with the client and you talk about what went well, what didn't go so well, you know, what could be improved on next time. And even if you don't do that with that client, like it depends on your relationship with them and stuff like that. But you could even just do it with yourself, you know. So you could be like, this is the project retro that we just did. And okay, so what did I think went well in this project? What didn't go so well? And what can I do better next time? And you would just learn so much stuff if you keep doing that. And especially from the business side of things, because everyone makes the same mistakes over and over again. And I always talk to my students,
sometimes
and I'm like, okay,
the same clients.
So this went wrong this time. Yeah, exactly. But this went wrong. So how can we improve on this next time? What do you need? What process or system do you need to put in place to make sure this doesn't happen to you again? You know, and sometimes that is contracts. Sometimes, like we were saying, it's creating a survey or a questionnaire or something at the beginning of the project so that they know, like, you know, I don't know, like how many rounds of feedback when this kind of with the scope of work and all of that kind of stuff, you know, it can be lots of different things. But I'm just really passionate about creating systems and processes in the business. Like I've been doing it for Motion Hatch as well. And we have like a process project plan where we have all the different things that we do every week. And we're trying to create a process for each thing. And what that means is I can kind of stop doing some of the stuff, you know, and I can pass that off to an assistant who maybe doesn't know as much about the motion design industry and stuff like that. And everyone else can do that too in their businesses, you know, even freelancers. You could potentially, if you created processes for some of the steps in your business, you could give that to a virtual assistant, for example, that you wouldn't have to pay very much. And that could help you save a lot of time. It kind of depends what it is, but you know, you could make a list. There's this thing that I learned from an entrepreneur called the 3 Lists to Freedom, and I'm trying to think if I can remember them all. But it's like things that you shouldn't be doing, things that you can't do, and things that you don't want to do. So you make a list of those 3 things, and then you think about, okay, things you shouldn't be doing are things like, you know, potentially you don't need to be the one who creates your website. It obviously depends on like what stage of your career you're at, and things like that. Yeah. But that could be an example. You know, things that you can't do, like maybe some of your account stuff, things like that. And then you can go through and think about, okay, which of these things can I automate or delegate? And even if it's not right away, it's stuff that you can think about automating or delegating in the future. So then you can create a process for that so that you know it's done in a way that you love to do it. And then once you do give that to somebody else, you know that they're going to do it correctly as well. Because that's like a lot of trouble that I've had. Is, you know, I like things to be done in a certain way.
You are talking Dave's language right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Like, I'm fine with handing stuff off. I'm fine with handing stuff off as long as it's being done the correct way. Because you said you've had problems with it. I'm sure you've had the same problems that I have had, which it's like if you have a system of doing things and you want to relinquish the command, you just have to be able to find somebody who can remember all the little details, you know. And the problem is you usually don't find out if somebody's good or bad at that until you train them. And then if it doesn't work out, you have to train them again, right? So that's how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so you don't get them to remember all the little details is the key. You put all the little details in the process, you know? So you write like, step 1, you do this. Step 2, you do this. Or you like create a video with it as well. I use something called loom.com. I don't know whether you've used that.
I've heard of Loom, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And so you go through and you go, right, this is how you do this and that. And then you create a step 1, step 2, or maybe like a checklist, you know, so they don't have to remember all of the stuff. They literally just have to follow the process.
Right.
So they just go in and you obviously like keep them in an organized way. Like we use Notion, so we'll have like marketing procedures, and then we'll have like social media procedure within that, and then, you know, maybe like Instagram procedure or something like that. It sounds like, you know, it can get quite detailed, but that's why you have a project plan for it as well. And then you can kind of go in, and it depends, like most people listening to this probably won't need to go that into detail.
Right.
But I think if you
you're
start
speaking
doing
our
it,
language right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you start doing it like when you start and you only have a few little processes that you need to do, if you build that up along the way, it's going to be much easier for you later if you wanted to start a studio or something like that and you wanted to hire other people, because then you're like, oh, cool, I already have this process. This is how I do the social media. Someone else can do this for me now. And then you go, here you go. So then you don't even really have to spend time training them, because you're like, read the process. And then they go, okay, I read the process. Then maybe you do it, you show them, and then maybe they do it, you watch them, and then they're done, and then they can do it. You know, you don't have to like, I feel like, repeat yourself as much. And anytime that I find myself doing something that I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, or I shouldn't be doing it, I just make a video on it, Loom, and then I put it into a procedure, and then I send it to my assistant, and then she does it. And then
that's a good way to do it.
Say like, ask me any questions that you have and stuff like that. But
because it's your brand, right? It's your brand. You care about it the most. You're going to remember every little detail, and
exactly.
You can't expect everybody to remember all those details. It's understood. You just have to have a good way to remind people how to not forget those little details. Now, a good case in point. What do you use for social media scheduling? Do you have a particular...
Loomly. We just moved to Loomly, which I think is a bit of an underdog one. Yeah.
I haven't heard. Is that related to Loom or no?
No, it isn't, but they're similar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's called Loomly, pretty sure. And we just moved to that because it just has the most stuff that we needed, but it's like everything. Right. You can have this kind of like, I don't know, like software fatigue or something, can't you? Where you're like, oh, well, you know, I need the best thing. And you spend 20 hours researching what the best social media scheduler is. And sometimes I'm like, you just have to pick one and use it, you know, and then And then after a while, we found it wasn't working for us. So then we're like, oh, now we know what we need, though. We have like a list of key things that we want it to do. So, so we can go in there and reply to the comments on every single platform rather than going into each individual platform, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like so Buffer. I think.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Sorry. Oh, well, I was just gonna say Buffer is like, the same thing, right? It does most of what we need or whatever, but the thing about the little details, the example that I always give is that, like, if say we're scheduling something for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, right? So each one has to have its own special size of media and all of that. Each one has to be tagged differently because everybody has different tags on it. But the biggest thing with Instagram is that when you put a URL in a description in Instagram, it doesn't actually link to anything, right? Like somebody would have to really want to get that link. So what do? You have to put memorable links in there. So it has to be mograph.com/live/the-drop/ memorable links. If you don't do that, if you just paste a link in there, it changes it to one of those URL shortener links. And nobody's going to look at Instagram and be like, oh, I need to go to bit.com/W_Y. No one's going to do that. So you have to make it memorable. If you paste something in to Buffer to schedule it, it shortens it automatically, right? So you have to copy it and paste it in there. If you type it in and you think it's not shortened, the moment that you publish it, it will actually shorten it after the fact, and you won't realize it. So you have to copy and paste back in what you're going to paste in. Then you have to click on it and say, unshorten this link so that it stays like that. Okay, nobody in their right mind is going to know that little detail of that thing, except for me when I'm training somebody.
Right.
Long story to get to that point,
that's
but
you
would put in
the
your
dilemma. Procedure.
Right.
Yeah. So you would have like a process procedure, it doesn't matter, call it whatever you want. You would have that in there as like a point. And if it's like really a difficult, annoying thing, maybe you bold it, you put it in red or something. So you're like, every time you need to check that these links are going out, not as the silly bit.ly, buffly, whatever it is.
You're trying to take these little
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
nugs
like
of information.
I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
There's no thing. Like it's like I wish I could just transfer. It's like Nick Campbell said. I wish I could have had another me. That's what everybody says because you're the only one who remembers the little details, and you got to figure out how to download that.
But that's why building a process project plan and having a process for single thing that you do that's like on a day-to-day basis. Obviously don't make unnecessary processes for things that you do once, and then if you do that, then at least even if it's just for yourself, I feel like it helps you to remember how to do things because we all forget, we're like, how are we doing this thing, and I think it just makes it quicker because then you're just like, oh yeah, go through the checklist. Yes, I've done that. And I think it's just really helpful, and just keep reviewing that. And especially if you have a team, I think this is vital. If we think about all of the big brands, you think about Google and Coca-Cola, and they're not running their businesses just going, oh, what are you working on today, Dave? They have processes and procedures, and it seems boring, but I think what it can do for people is, especially if they're thinking about building a team, like maybe they want to build a studio or something like that, they could actually take themselves out of the kind of day-to-day running and make it less stressful for themselves, so they can kind of look to steering the ship a little bit more, and that's what I want to do with Motion Hatch, is steering the ship forward to do more cool stuff in the industry. We want to set up a scholarship program and things like that. I can't concentrate on that if I'm thinking about posting on social media tomorrow, Right. So I think that applies for everyone else as well. And if you think about in the long run, what do you want to do? Maybe you want to build a business that is an asset that you could potentially step out of one day. Not everybody wants to do that, but if you don't put systems and processes in place, then you can never do that. You're always going to be the person who needs to do that thing, or there might be one thing that you always have to do in your business that you hate, or something like that, maybe you could take yourself out of that. But you can't do that if you don't have a system around it, because like you said, no one's ever going to do it as you do it.
Right.
And I think getting over that mindset as well, I'm trying to like think, how can I bring more people in who are more experts than me, and how can I say, well, this is how I've been doing it and this is how I like it to be done, but like what can you do too, and how can you make it better, and how can we help the motion design industry together? That's kind of how I think
One
about
of
it.
the biggest questions, though, is how do you get that help when cash flow is an issue? Because that's the first thing you got to do is you got to pay somebody to do those things, right? And that may take a while.
Yeah, of course. And I think it does, but I still think that you can if you work on your processes and systems and you think about, okay, what can I automate maybe, so you start with the automation part of it, and so having a system obviously is going to make you a little bit quicker on some of the stuff, and then automating some stuff, you get a little bit more quicker. And if you're building a system to get consistent clients, you're going to have consistent clients coming in. You can start to be more picky. You can start to raise your rate. Then you get to the stage where you're thinking about hiring people. Do you see what I mean? Like there's a whole.
Yeah.
So I think you can do these things at any level. It's just you might be doing them in a slightly different way. So obviously you're not going to be building a process out probably for your social media so you can hand it off to an assistant straight away, but you might be building yourself a process that has a little checklist that you do every week. So you're like, I go onto LinkedIn every Tuesday morning for 30 minutes, and I go and comment on different producers' posts that I like and different creative directors, and I interact with like, these are the people who've been interacting with my posts because that helps me to boost my posts in the algorithm or something like that, And I feel like if you didn't have a little system for that, you just wouldn't do it, and you get overwhelmed because you'd be thinking, oh, when am I going to do social media? When am I going to post on LinkedIn? When am I going to go and engage? I said I would do that, and it just becomes stressful. And that's where I see everybody kind of getting stressed and freaked out, and they think like, oh, social media is terrible and I don't want to look at it. But if you're like intentional about what you're going to do and you have a system, it doesn't have to be stressful, and it can just be something that you do, so you're like going onto Instagram particularly to engage with different motion designers, and you're only doing it like for 20 minutes on your lunch every day, and you don't do it the rest of the time. You're not sitting there while you're watching Netflix scrolling. I know everyone does this, but if you really want to like build a good business that you care about, where you're getting consistent clients that you really care about, and you don't want to use social media like for personal things, and you just want to use it for your business, and this is how I would go about it. And I would do what you were saying, Dave, as well, where you schedule stuff in advance and you batch it and all of those types of things
it
as
saves
well.
Time. And put it on the calendar for sure. Like
exactly.
Don't make it an afterthought, that's for sure. Now, when I went to the restroom for a second earlier, I don't know if you got too far into the mentoring stuff. I think y'all might have touched on it for a second, but I wanted to ask a little bit about, you offer free things, but you offer pay things as well. And what are those specifically? And how does that work?
So thanks for asking me about that. Appreciate it. So like I said, we have a course called Client Quest, which is a lot of the things that I've been talking about today, about building a marketing funnel for yourself to help you get consistent high-paying clients. That's basically what we cover in Client Quest. So I help you go through it step by step. We talk a bit about what should be in the portfolio, how you should be building your awareness, how you should be attracting clients to you, how you should be turning them into advocates and fans of yours so they can keep coming back to you, but also help you to get more clients, how you can get strategic partnerships. There's like so much stuff in there. So that's probably like the best place for everyone to go to if they really want to dive deep into Motion Hatch and really learn how to build that consistent funnel of clients coming back to them again and again, and don't want to have that stress. I would say definitely go and check out the Client Quest course. I think if you go to motionhatch.com/Client Quest, you'll find it there. I think we're not live launching it now, so there is a wait list, but obviously if you sign up to the wait list, you'll hear about it first. And then we have our accelerator program, which is like a really small amount of people because I have not much time. And in the accelerator program, I do more one-on-one coaching with people, and we have a mastermind. So a mastermind is like a peer support group where you can learn and grow together with other motion designers. So you have a mastermind, one-on-one coaching, and we have expert calls. So we bring people in usually from like studios or marketing people and things like that, and they come and talk to the students. And it's usually only 2 groups of 6 every 6 months, so it's like really small groups. So you have your group of 6 and then you do some one-on-one coaching with me and stuff like that. And what we do in that is we're really focused on building a solid business plan for you to move forward. And it's usually where you're like changing in your career. So maybe you've been a freelancer for 3 to 4 years or something like that. You're thinking about hiring some other people. You're thinking about maybe building a studio. Maybe you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel or something like that. So it's like people where they feel a little bit stuck. They've been freelance for a while, but they're not sure what to do next. That's kind of the general people that we see in that course. And then I can help them more one-on-one kind of build a business plan that's kind of, I'd say like beyond freelance. You know, it can be freelance, but it's usually if you're in that sort of stage, you might want to hire other people to help you start building a team. It doesn't have to be in like a full studio sense. A lot of the students are doing this like up and down kind of scaling model, which is really
kind
interesting.
Kind of be like a boutique in a way, maybe.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah,
so that kind of thing. Like I'm helping people build their systems out for their small studios. So we've had like a couple of like 2 to 3 people studios doing that sort of thing in there as well. And we work on having, you know, your 6 months to yearly goals, and then I help you break them down into quarterly goals and then monthly and weekly goals. And we have a lot of accountability in those groups and stuff like that. So it's basically to help people to really get things done and kind of progress and figure out what they want to do next most of the time as well.
What would you say, as many freelancers you've talked to, what would you say is the biggest mistake that people make when they start out in freelance?
Yeah, the biggest mistake. The thing that comes to my mind straight away is, it sounds so dumb, but honestly, the amount of times I see it is unreal. Is just having your contact information not really obvious on your website. I know that sounds really silly, but like that's like a huge thing, because if people can't find your email, they're just going to be like, see ya. You know, like have it always, I always tell students the best place to put it is, you know, in the top right, because that's usually where you'd have like a call to action button or something like that. So just check that you've got the like contact me, you know, and make sure it's like really obvious as well. Just make it really clear how to contact you, because I really think that is one of the biggest mistakes, because, you know, you do work really hard, you know, you do all this stuff to get people to your website, and then they come and then they can't find out how to contact. They're like, I don't have time for this. They move on to the next person, you know. So that's it's quite simple, but it's, I mean, I really have to say this probably like once a week to someone. I can't find your email on your website. How do I contact you? You know.
And what do you think about jumping off? I think that's a question a lot of people are going to have too. When do I jump off? Like, when is the best time? And I mean, I think that there's the classic advice, isn't there, of like, make sure you've got 3 to 6 months worth of like money, you know, that you need to survive. I like to tell people to figure out like what their kind of base, like kind of money they need to make every month is, so that you can have an idea in your mind of what you want to make, but it's like, what do you actually need? Because I feel like people don't really work that out. Like how much you actually need, because sometimes what I see happening is people are like, oh, I'm saving up, and then they're like, oh, I'm trying to get a couple of clients, maybe they're like moonlighting on the side, but then they don't realize that they've actually already got the amount of money they need to cover their expenses every month from their moonlighting clients, and it just takes them longer. And
as soon as they figure that out, they're like, oh, wait a minute, I can do it full time now. And obviously I'm going to earn more money because now I've got more time to freelance, you know?
Yeah, you get a lot more time back. I think when I jumped off, one of the things that I kind of helped convince myself of was the fact that I was spending 40 hours a week driving. Just driving. I was like, that's a whole week's worth of work right there. If I just took just that amount, not even like the 8 hours a day, if I just took the driving amount and spent that long trying to get people, you know, get new sales or whatever, that's a whole week. So
40 hours a month, not a week.
I'm sorry, a month.
Yeah, I was thinking like that's all right.
It was 40 hours a month, but I'm thinking, okay, that's a week's worth of work that you can spend every month trying to get new sales, and then take the rest of those days, and that's just pure work time right there.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that I do agree with the advice, you know, have a, you know, pot of savings, like a runway for yourself. So if you don't get clients straight away, you've obviously got some money there. And ideally you would have a couple of clients that come back to you. But in reality, sometimes that's quite difficult to get. I think maybe it's a little bit easier now because we're all working remotely. But I remember when I first went freelance, everybody that I spoke to wanted me to go in-house. So they were like, we really want to work with you. We love your work, but we need someone to come in. We need someone to be available 9 to 5.
Right.
You know, and that's, or like 9 to 6 or whatever. 9 to 5 is not really realistic in our industry, but you know. So that was the tricky thing that I had. So I feel like I did really have to just like do a little bit of a leap of faith. And I don't know whether I'd suggest that to everyone out there, but sometimes, you know, if you've been in the industry for a little while, I was like full time for 7 years before I went freelance. So I'd been around for a long time, you know, and that's not typical for everyone, I know. But if you've been around for a while, you know a lot of people, you have a lot of contacts, and you've got this buffer of money, you know, and you feel confident, then I think, you know, I think that it could be the right time. I feel like it's different for everyone, and it's so difficult to say. And I think that usually what I found is actually people don't do it as soon as they can, you know?
Yeah. They're scared.
Yeah. And I can totally relate.
Like,
for sure.
I feel like I've done it twice because I went freelance, and then I also kind of feel like I took a bit of the same thing when I started doing Motion Hatch like full time. You know, I had to kind of give up my freelance career, and people are always like, oh, why did you do that? Like, how was that? And it was
should have automated everything so that people could have taken, you know, and then you just make money off of your freelance stuff on the side.
Yeah, but I think it was like, you know, creating the content and stuff like that. So
For
like
sure.
I was doing a podcast on the side, and then had like the contract bundle then and the mastermind, I think, and doing full-time freelance stuff. So it was just kind of thinking about like, okay, do I want to follow this thing that seems to be helping an awful lot of people, that where people are asking for more and more and more stuff, or do I just want to carry on with my freelance stuff where it's kind of like a bit more obvious where that's going to continue to go? So it just felt more worthwhile to me to, you know, make that jump into Motion Hatch and really like push it as far as it can go. And I'm really glad I did that, because I feel like it's helped so many people, and
absolutely.
I'm hoping that it can help even more, so it's exciting.
Matt, your light went out behind you all of a sudden. What happened? It just went out randomly.
Hold on.
Oh, I thought you meant me. I was like, did it?
Yeah. Oh, his jacket fell. Did he?
I've got like 5 jackets hanging on my wall.
They just
you know,
fell.
That's funny.
it's where and like a couple of them just fell right on my light.
Hey, if anybody has any questions in the chat, feel free to put it in there. Well, what we're gonna do, we'll go to the drop for a minute and go over that stuff, and then if there's any questions, we'll come back to them after the drop. So
Absolutely.
Let's go to the drop.
Let's do it.
The drop.
Is this the fucking mic? This is exactly what I should be doing.
What's up, and welcome to this week's episode of The Drop, your weekly source for all things NFT and crypto art, as well as upcoming drops by notable people in the Mograph industry. I'm Matt Milstead. Joining me, as always, is Dave Koss. Joining us this week from Motion Hatch, Hayley Akins. let's get into the drop list. Where is it? There
do
we
it.
go. I've got to give Nifty Gateway a shout out right now.
Yeah,
Their marketing people must be a listener to the show.
Mhm,
I will say,
mhm.
because they gave us a full week of stuff. I guess they're like rearranging stuff
Good.
and blah blah blah. Actually listen to us. That's good. So, yeah, let's get started. There's not a lot of Mograph like artists that I know of specifically, but there are a lot of artists. So today, Ron English is doing a drop. Let me click on the thing so I can refresh myself. Very interesting work, very colorful.
Ooh, what's this?
Mixed supersize.
Mixed supersized. These look fun.
So, yeah, fun stuff.
Get a little more resolution on these images, but
Definitely interesting work. So yeah, there you go. Reminds
there it
me
is.
of the. Never mind. I won't even say what it reminds me of. All right, so that's that one. Then on the 11th, some of the ones I'm skipping a few days because they just didn't put stuff on there. But Ola Volo is doing a drop. I really love this work. I think it's very pretty. A lot of really pretty illustrative work and stuff like that. I really dig it. Yeah, love the use of colors and stuff like that. Just
I wonder
great.
if this is Procreate.
I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. So that's it for the 11th. On the 12th, an artist named 6 and 5 is doing a drop. I dig this work. I dig
Ooh.
this work a lot. Yeah. So a lot of really pretty like interior renderings and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
kinda
You can see kind of
architecture-y.
like the series that they've done with like this orange ball. I have a feeling that's going to be similar to what the drop is for that the drop on the what day is that? Whoops, I just lost my date. The 12th, I
12th,
believe.
the 12th,
Yeah, the
yeah.
12th. So that's a fun one.
I
Ooh,
like
that's
their
pretty.
work on this.
Right,
this
right.
Instagram. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, really good lighting. Love the lighting. So that's the 12th. On the 13th, an artist called MRE is doing a drop. Interesting work. Yeah, it's a lot of the similar NFT type stuff.
People love their shiny plastic people. I'll tell you that.
People love their
Shiny
shiny
plastic
plastic
people.
people. Yeah.
Oh, that one's
So-
pretty cool though. It turns into a heart. I dig that. I dig that.
Ah, there you go. Okay,
pretty good.
cool.
Yeah.
Wonder how they did that. How do you think they did that?
Probably something technical.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right. Then on the 14th, Clarence is doing a drop on Nifty Gateway. Lots of very colorful, like almost inverted looks
Yeah.
and stuff like that,
Almost like negative. Yeah.
Right. Reminds me a bit of Frederick Duquette's work a little bit, not as polished, I'd say, as
This one's
Fred's work
playing-
is.
Little ape.
Yeah.
Ape video game. What
Right.
to do. Cool.
So, yeah, cool stuff. And then the last one on the 15th, we've talked about this artist before. Tommy Wilson, the baseball player from the Baltimore Orioles. Like,
Wait,
I'm
what?
looking at. Yeah, he's a professional baseball player with the Baltimore Orioles. Like,
No
they
way.
did a drop previously on, what was it? It was Maker's Place, right? I believe. And so, like, looking at some of his work, like,
Interesting.
it's like, heck yeah, dude! Like, way to get out there. Like, I'm really impressed because
That's
it's
funny.
good to see, it's good to see a jock get into the artist space, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, what'll be funny is if he ends up making more money in NFTs than he does playing
Right.
baseball and stuff.
Right.
You
All right.
So,
and then you got some Maker's Place too.
got a couple of Maker's Place. Yeah. So the 10th tomorrow is Jonathan Monahan, I believe is how you pronounce it. Tetramorphs 2. I like this one. I thought it was pretty. Love the textures. It's a weird concept, That's what NFT art is sometimes.
Yeah, I mean.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I really dig the textures. It's very pretty, pretty work.
Their website's
so-
weird the way it's set up.
I know.
This video is huge. But it's like at 100%. It's weird.
Absolutely hate their titles at the end that they make everyone do.
Yeah.
It is just awful. Just awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
Anyway.
you got one more.
One more on the 12th, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I'm yeah, sorry. The Laws of Adrenaline Part 2 is the name of this drop, but really, like I don't give much. They just, I guess this is a drop series featuring the international footballing superstar and current AC Milan striker Zlatan. Oh yeah, we've done this. We talked about this guy before. You know,
they don't show. Oh wait, there's some of the pieces.
He's a footballer. Yeah. So anyway, cool looking stuff, I guess. You know, there you go. So those are the drops on the major places this week.
Yeah, we got a community drop too, right?
We do have a community drop. Yeah, from Mellow Mograph. Let's see. He said, "Hey Matt and Dave, I'm sure you guys are still getting ready for NAB." He sent this a while ago, and I totally missed it.
Well, this is while we were at NAB or something.
Can't wait to see you guys. Decided to be a fun idea to do a surprise drop of NFTs during our time in Vegas a while ago. I toyed around with the idea of some procedurally generated characters, but it never made it to the minting phase. That's finally changing this week, introducing humanoids.
I get it.
Yeah, right.
Clever.
Yeah, fun stuff. Looking cool. I dig it.
Ooh, look at these.
Right?
Humanoids.
Let's see. Humanoids is a collection of 9 one-of-one NFTs that represent my love for mixing generative artwork with personalized character design. The characters themselves are inspired by Kodama, the Japanese forest spirits seen in media such as the Ghibli film Princess Mononoke. I love the simplicity of their designs as well as a variety of shapes and sizes they came in, so I utilized Houdini to create those same forms while additionally applying custom tailored colors and patterns to make each one feel unique and vibrant. Keeping the reserve price low, just 0.1 ETH, so I can which isn't much right now. Now the ETH's down to like, what, $2,200? It's ridiculous. Yeah. Bitcoin just hit below 31,000.
Yeah.
And render. Oh gosh, render's hurting. It's down to $1.07.
That's what sucks. Everything
Bitcoin's
across
now
the board
down below 31.
Jeez. Yeah, everything down right now.
Everything. Stocks are down almost 5%. There's just this massive sell-off going on right now. It's like all the money that I made investing during the pandemic, I have lost now. So.
Yeah.
Thanks, Obama. Anyway, so 0.1 ETH continue to build more for collectors, and I will be listing each one one at a time after the previous edition gets collected. I was inspired by Nick Campbell for that part, which is cool. Make an official announcement tomorrow when I land in Vegas, which was a while ago. So can't wait to hang with everyone. P.S. I've still got plans to turn those posters I handed out at camp into animated NFTs as well. I'll keep you posted on those. Oh, that's exciting. Oh, yeah, should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's
awesome.
a pretty simple concept, right? You just
you just take some stuff, throw it into Houdini, and then hit. You're talking about stocks.
Just stocks in general. Buy low,
yeah,
sell high.
It's totally
Why is it so
like
hard?
Absolutely buy low. Sell high, except for when you don't know when the high is, and then it ends up being the even lower,
right,
and then you're like, well, how do I buy some more? Because I don't have any money to buy more. I need more money. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, Hayley, I know you're like so far off of like the whole NFT scene because, you're not even doing the freelance stuff.
You're doing things that professionals actually care about versus.
Well, I have interviewed some NFT artists and put stuff on my channel, and it went pretty well. I got obviously mixed reactions,
right?
As you always do when you talk about NFTs.
Absolutely.
But from my perspective, from like a kind of business perspective, I do see a lot of people who are obviously making a lot of money, but then I see a lot of people who are making a little bit of money and filling in their freelance kind of gaps with it too, which is actually the bit that interests me the most. So
same here.
Yeah,
I think that's what I want to kind of talk more about, and maybe we'll do some more content on the channel, on the Motion Hatch YouTube channel, about that kind of thing, like how, if you're kind of relatively unknown, can you kind of plug your freelance gaps with some NFT work? Because I think that's what I find exciting about it is because not everybody can be people,
Right.
So it's like, how do we, slowly mortals make money, maybe as like a side hustle or something like that. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I it would be interesting to see. Oops, sorry, someone. It'll be interesting to see in the future where this all goes, and if prices can kind of stabilize. Because right now you've got 0.1 ETH. He sent that 2 weeks ago when ETH was at what, $3,000 or something. Now it's at 2,200. It's like you're talking about a big difference in amount of money that you can make, supplemental money at that. And it just swings wildly, which is hard for people, especially when you're trying to do a budget, or if prices even like get down to like similar to what people were doing with Hick and Yuck back in the day, where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna sell this for like $5, but then you sell 100 of them, and it's like, okay, that's cool, it's a little piece that I made real quick. That's what I would like to see with this NFT market, is a place where people can buy and sell very easily for cheap and not have to worry about this dang mint prices. It's so expensive.
Yeah, I think the thing that interests me as well personally is like the utility part of it, like what can you offer that's kind of on top of that. So as someone who like obviously trains and educates people in something, I'm like thinking about like, oh, could we do like an NFT for Motion Hatch, or would people want that was like sort of around some sort of community or something like that, like those kind of aspects, because obviously I'm already building communities and that kind of thing, and I think that's actually one of the hardest things if you're doing like a PFP project or something like that, is the whole Discord and the keeping the community up and that kind of thing. I'm not saying
it's a lot.
It's like a lot for most people, but I think it's interesting from kind of from an education company standpoint of like how we can start to utilize that in our businesses, I think. Because I think that you could like offer that to people and be like, hey, I'll give you like, I don't know, some one-on-one coaching or something. I don't know, something better than that. But you,
for sure.
You see where I'm going with it, like a bit like have you seen like the V Friends, like Gary Vaynerchuk's thing?
Man,
and
that guy.
I think it's like a really cool idea. Like, I think it's really cool.
But he's made such a name for himself among. It's like Beeple, for example. When he spoke a few years ago at a half res, and I brought up this question, when I was talking to him, I said, you have transcended Mograph. There are people who know you outside of Mograph. That's especially true now, but Gary Vaynerchuk has made his name so well known outside of just like whatever space he started in, that it's like, oh yeah, he can sell a really shitty NFT for like $50,000 that basically gives people, uninhibited access to him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how do me as Matt Milstead, who no one gives a shit about, sell an NFT for $50,000 so that you get access to me?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it's like, it's just on different scales, isn't it? Your one might not be 50,000, but
right.
you know what I mean? Like you could still do something that maybe could be like that. That's a bit that interests me. I would like to do that, or like work with people on, if they were doing that for their project or whatever. I think like the community utility aspects of it, I think. Just like, because I like to like think about what value am I giving to everyone, what am I offering everyone, and this just seems like another way to do that might be a bit more exciting, because it kind of has an art aspect to it, which is where we all originally came from. So being a creative, being an artist, so that kind of excites me, because it's kind of smashing together like kind of the business sort of things and the art things. and it's kind of a little crossover. I just haven't quite figured out like how to do that yet, but that's why I talk to a lot of people, and hopefully it's useful for everyone else as well, you know, to hear from different motion design NFT artists and stuff like that. And yeah, we're thinking about getting like our next guest expert in our accelerator program to be someone who like markets NFT projects. So I think it'd be pretty
cool idea. Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, look
all right.
who's here.
Oh, look. Hi, Dorpy.
Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry,
Good.
I'm late back from Vegas because, well, you know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right?
Right.
So I had to bury all my bones in a bunch of cement and leave them all behind.
Right.
Yeah, the cops will never find them because they didn't have
Right.
any. They won't have any concrete evidence.
No. No.
Yeah.
See,
Anyway.
you should have gone with like skeletons in the closet. That joke would have been anyway. All right, go ahead.
No bones about it. Okay. Anyway, check out my new dog-mented reality filter on TikTok. Just came out. Just do a search for Dorpy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, bye.
He's not joking.
Oh, that was quick.
He is not joking.
He's not joking.
Yes.
Yeah, you can get that on TikTok and coming soon to Instagram as well. You can basically make your face
Let's
Dorpy.
see.
Yeah.
If I
Are
can
you looking
find
it up?
Yeah, I just wanted to see. Yeah, check it out. So I don't know if you can see this on there, but
there you
yeah,
go.
that's
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
yeah, right.
That was fun to make.
So you can do your Dorpy filter as well on TikTok. If you do, tag us in it. We'd love to see it. You know, because most of the time it's just like, you know, kids putting on the Dorpy filter
a
and
bunch
stuff.
of kids using it.
Yeah.
They don't know you can tap on it and it moves the mouth.
My
It doesn't
kid
respond
my
to
kid
sound yet.
loved it. He thought it was hilarious. You know, he thought it was so funny. So, well done, Dave.
Thanks.
So yeah, if you or anyone you know or love has an NFT that they are dropping, feel free to email us info@mograph.com. We'll show it on the show. Other than that, let's get back to the regular show.
To drop.
Is this the fucking mic? This is exactly what I should be doing.
Oh boy,
oh, I hit the wrong button.
wrong one, Dave. Way to go.
Hey, so I was gonna do a link real quick and say in developing that app, the filter, the app that I used was Polycam, which there's a bunch of different 3D scanners out there. However, Polycam lets you do something a little bit different, which is you have the ability to do like LiDAR scanning with it, or you can do a whole bunch of high-res photos and like upload it to the cloud, and they do the work for you. And I did that, and in about 20 minutes, it gave me the most incredibly realistic 3D model of Dorpy. In like 20 minutes. Just
It was
absolutely
crazy how
incredible.
good that was. Yeah.
So I'll put a link to that app in the show notes. If you want to check it out, the best way to do it is to do like the photo scans and just pay for the, I don't know.
All right, Dave. Everyone wants a
60
Dorpy
bucks a year.
shirt.
Everybody wants a Dorpy shirt. I know. I
Yeah.
had that on my thing. I don't know what it would say. Well, it would be his face,
Okay, bye.
obviously. Yeah, let's see. Well, on the back it should say "Okay, bye."
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know what you should put on the front.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh
adult
my
dating
gosh!
sites.
YouTube
Thank you.
has been so bad with the freaking just awful spam lately. It happened during the motion show as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like what who's gonna click on that? And even
Right.
who cares? Like I
I
don't
mean,
understand.
you can't
How
even
is it
click.
even-
You have to physically type it in.
Right.
It's
Nobody's gonna
stupid.
do that. Nobody's gonna be like, hey, look at this spammer. I'm gonna attach this because why? It's just stupid. Anyway. Oh,
All right.
and there we go. Good Lord.
Yeah.
They just keep going, don't they? They just keep going. Gone now. Okay. Anyway. Haley, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah. Great
Um,
show. Great show.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
having me. It's really fun. It's really I find this podcast chill because it goes on for so long that you can
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
you can
Just
dive
laid back.
deep,
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
You can go deep, but yeah, hopefully it was helpful for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if if anyone wants to email us, ask any questions about freelancing or anything later, just email hello@motionhatch.com. We'll try and help you out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dave and I are gonna start working on our processes.
Yeah, let me know if
Yeah.
you need help.
Yeah.
Send some
Yeah.
stuff over.
You know what's funny? When you were talking earlier about the funnel, and you're like, then it goes down and it goes down and it goes down, and I was like, that's almost like a reverse pyramid scheme. I was like, oh no, that's not
Reverse.
funny.
It's a reverse pyramid.
Right, it's a reverse.
A
pyramid.
reverse pyramid scheme is good though, right? Because it's the
Right.
opposite. So that
Right.
means
Yeah,
it's
it's
good.
like
Funnel's it's a funnel, not
Yeah.
a pyramid. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not building off of other. Anyway.
well, as long as the other person at the top or the bottom, depending on whether it's a funnel,
Right,
as long as the
right.
other people are coming to you.
Oh, Thomas is saying he wants a knitted
Oh.
Dorpy logo, like a polo.
The polo with
logo
a little
with a
Dorpy.
little Dorpy.
Like that's the
Oh,
let's
that
off.
would be
club.
cute.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he came up with the dogmented reality line. I just gotta give
Ah,
him credit for
well
that.
Well
On Discord the other day.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Anyway,
let's get out of here. You can
Yep.
rate us on iTunes, leave a review, helps get our ratings up. Subscribe on your podcatcher of choice, and the newsletter. It'll go out
or
eventually.
YouTube.
at some
YouTube
point.
will also
Yeah.
let you know when our show is on.
That is true. You get all the notifications, or you could just turn on Mograph TV all day, every day, because the live shows will come right through into the feed, so you don't even have to worry.
There
Just
we are.
turn it on and yank the knob off.
So there are not
Rip
yet
the
knobs
knob
anymore.
off.
No, there are
Alright.
not knobs anymore.
Been there, done that. You can say you've been there, done that. Got the T-shirt with the Mograph logo tee, the Feel the Bad Paul Bab 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders. The Render Things T-shirt, hoodie, and long sleeve tee. The Mograph Blandishment shirt, and then the That Render is Fire shirt, which you're only allowed to wear ironically, unless
you're
shams.
shams. Yeah. We need to get her one of those shirts and give it to her at camp.
Seriously,
I don't know why she doesn't have one.
If
She's
she
the only one
doesn't
who
have-
can wear it, not ironically.
maybe she does have one.
Okay.
We don't even know. Shams, let us know if you have one. If
Yeah.
not, we'll get you one.
Yep.
That's it, though. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Mograph.com. Come say hi and all
TikTok.
the things.
Don't stop.
Yes. Yeah.
Come
Anyway,
on.
the TikTok, you don't stop. Anyway,
Right.
until next time, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm Hayley.
Have a good one.
Later, yo. Got my Cintiq set up on my left. Like my whole setup is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I have 3